Hello and welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. I have a repeat guest here, one of my favorites, always a favorite, Miss Lynette Zang from ITMtrading.com, a gold, silver, commodities, bond market, and stock market maven. That's a lot, but I'm piling on the compliments, but they're well deserved. Miss Zang, welcome back to Looking at the Markets.
I'm very happy to be here, David. Thank you for having me. And I've been doing this for a long time, so I should really know what I'm talking about by now.
Absolutely. It's always an honor and pleasure to have you on. People really need to go to itmtrading.com for your gold and silver bullion coins, just your needs, because you really need physical gold and silver now. Although what's interesting is that in the silver market, I've seen the spot prices and like when people go to buy silver and gold, there's a big difference between the spot price and the price they actually get it at. I hate to bring up the M word, but manipulation or suppression seems to be going on. I don't know. Is this conspiracy theory of me to think this way or what?
No, there's a lot of proof to it, even with them admitting it. And certainly they've sold a whole lot more paper gold and silver contracts to suppress the price. You can do that easily, but and cheaply, very cheaply. What's it? $150 to control 500 ounces of gold and 5,000 ounces of silver. That's leverage. However, I think this is coming to a head now, because there are more and more dealers that are standing, or investors that are standing for delivery. And of course, we see what's happening with SLV and them changing, the prospectus really quietly overnight after the bullion banks came out and downgraded gold and silver. Then magically, you saw the spot market take a hit. And then magically, quietly, the prospectus changed to indicate that, well, SLV really doesn't have to reflect even the spot market anymore.
Yeah.
It can be completely different than that.
And there you go. So interest rates have been, U.S. Government bond yields have been climbing up. Interesting. Can the stock market handle this? Can it maintain higher bond yields without some sort of collapse?
Well, no, because they've been on a debt binge. So, and they're not looking at super long-term debt. So all of the debt that's coming due this year, as we're going into a higher interest rate environment, these companies, there's so many zombie companies out there that do not even generate enough income to pay their interest, let alone any of the principal. So their intention and what they've been doing is just rolling that debt over. Well, if they roll it over in higher interest rates, then that means their interest expense goes up. And if they're having trouble meeting their normal expenses anyway, what do you think that's going to do? A whole lot of bankruptcies. So no, I don't think the stock. Now, having said that, if it was a normal stock market, then no, absolutely not. But we are not in a normal stock market. And my personal bet is that we are about to enter the final melt-up phase, because you have Janet Yellen that wants to normalize the Treasury's balance sheet and is about to release a flood of money into the banking system. And because the banks have really, they're already flush with excess cash that was given to them, plus deposits, they can't really hold or warehouse all of that cash. So it's about to be force-fed into the markets. But presuming Janet Yellen actually does release all that cash, she may change her mind. We'll see.
Yeah.
And in that case, you even have J.P. Morgan in their recent report indicate negative rates on deposits. So let's see, if the markets are being force-fed a ton of cash and there are negative rates on deposits, if you're paying negative rates on deposits, what are you going to do with the money that you're holding in there? Right? Probably spend it. So can the market handle it? The answer is no. And I mean, that's really simple. But does that mean that the markets are going to go down? Not necessarily, because of this tsunami of liquidity. And we aren't even talking about the 1.9 trillion in more stimulus, because really we're doing so great.
Hmm. Yeah, right.
Which is what Fed Chair Powell was saying. Interest rates are going up because the economy is doing so well. Yeah, well, stop buying $120 billion worth of bonds every month. They're going to do that forever.
Yeah.
So, stop pushing all of this liquidity into the markets. Let's see if it can stand on its own 2 feet. It can't.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're afraid of. So I've been seeing, I'm big on social media. I've been seeing hashtag silver squeeze a lot on Twitter and elsewhere. And the Reddit crowd has possibly pushed up the silver price, maybe artificially. Do you support this movement, silver squeeze, and the Reddit crowd? What is your impression?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this world needs a revolution. Whether it comes from Reddit or it comes from someplace else. Do I think that the Reddit crowd is strong enough or stronger than the BIS and the IMF in their ability to create paper instruments that represent gold and silver? No, I don't. So, I kind of, in some ways, I hate to say this. Actually, I really hate to say this. But, in some ways, I agree with the Goldman Sachs that came out and said that they will not be able to squeeze the market. And that's because of all of the paper silver that can easily and cheaply be created. However, having said that, what you'll see is the demand for the physical push those premiums wider and wider and wider. And by the way, when you say that pushing up those prices artificially, you've got to understand that the prices, the real nominal price, in other words, price in terms of dollars of both gold and silver, have been vastly suppressed. So while we have been experiencing in all of the other targeted asset classes, so stocks and bonds and stocks and bonds, and what else do we have? Real estate. While we've been watching those nominal prices explode, what has gold and silver done? It's gone up, of course, but it has not exploded because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. So at $30 an ounce or $100 an ounce or $500 an ounce, frankly, silver is severely undervalued.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Wanted to talk about shortages in the commodities market. Silver shortage. I believe there's been a supply deficit for a long time. Gold also. What are you seeing as far as supply deficits and how that's going to affect prices going forward?
Well, I think that prices can continue to be controlled by the paper markets, so by the bullion banks, lovely JP Morgan, et cetera, for longer than people would find possible or think possible. However, what everybody really needs to understand is that we are not counting. I am not counting on Wall Street to decide to release the price of the precious metals. I know there is only one way to reset a currency, and we're at the end of this currency's life cycle. You and I were talking, relatively shortly after the system died in 2008. And I said it then, and I say it today. You can look at the data, and you can see that the system died in 2008. So now I've been talking about the reset for many, 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 many years, thanks to Christine Lagarde's interview with Bloomberg, which is no longer available. But she mentioned the term reset about, 27, 38 times. I mean, like every other word out of her mouth was about the reset. And, my daddy was great. He used to say to me, do what I say and not what I do. Now, mostly he was referring to driving. But I used to say to him, Daddy, that doesn't make sense to me. So I listen to what they say, but then I watch what they do. And in
Yeah.
that way, I know if they are operate, I hate to use this word, operating in integrity,
Mm.
which they don't operate in integrity.
Yeah.
Some of them may operate with good intentions. I'll give them that because I certainly don't know any of them personally. But, they want you to be stuck in this fiat system so that it's easier to transfer your wealth. And, when the market ultimately does implode, when they are ready to reset that currency, like everybody is talking about now, well, they do it against gold, period. There's only one way to do it,
Yeah.
against gold.
Yeah.
Not going to be against anything else. I mean, there's lots of history on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, people need to go to itmtrading.com. Link is in the description below this video. If people want to start or add to their position in gold, how much gold should a person have, really?
Well, how much fiat do you want to lose?
Yeah.
Everybody's got to do what they're comfortable with. But I personally have been studying currencies since 1987, and I see repeatable patterns.
Yeah.
So I developed a plan for myself based upon those repeatable patterns. Because while I can't guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow, I'm kind of thinking that if there is a very long history of something happening and we're doing the same thing, our best shot is that we're going to get the same results. So from that, I created a plan for myself. But, pretty much everybody at ITM has been there for a very long time. And we're very close. We're a very close-knit group.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous amount of experience there and a tremendous amount of brilliance there. And we come together regularly. So we're constantly fine-tuning the strategy to make it better and better and better. It isn't just that people need gold and silver, which of course they do. That's for your ability to sustain your current standard of living and even expand your wealth base and therefore generate income that you cannot outlive. But I also think that we all need a plan of how we are walking through this reset. Because the powers that be have a lot of plans. And, guess what? You're not their top priority. You have to become your own central banker, your own top priority. For me personally, I'm all in. But my whole mantra is food, water, energy security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. These are the things that we need to be aware of and building upon so that we can walk through this transition relatively as intact as possible. And also, if you're in a position to, take advantage of the opportunities that will present. Because right now, you've got income producing real estate at nosebleed levels. I mean, it's at nosebleed levels.
Yeah.
But that's not always going to be true. So right now you've got gold and silver down here. You've got real estate as example up here. You could do stocks. You could do with bonds. Doesn't matter. But when they reset the system, it flip-flops.
Right. It always works like that. It's cyclical. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not rocket science. You just have to recognize the patterns.
Right. Commodities have been lagging over the long term for years and years, and when commodities come back versus stocks, I believe it's already in progress, and it's going to be pretty breathtaking, I think. Just my opinion, but that's what I'm seeing now. If people call ITM Trading, which is 866-488-3984, and speak to a strategist, who will they be talking to, and what will they learn?
Well, one of the first things, they're going to be talking to their own designated consultant that will be with them for, really for life, because this is never going, things will ebb and flow, but, you always need to know what you're doing. And the first thing they're going to do is sit down and assess where you are right? And determine, well, what are your goals?
Yeah.
Then you can put a plan in place that supports those goals. That's putting the horse before the cart. So you have to start with a deep conversation on where you're at, what you're trying to accomplish, what you have to work with, what your current needs are. And then from there, I mean, we customize it. So that's what they're going to get when they first talk to us. And I think they'll be very impressed with whoever they talk to, because like I said, we do have a lot of very bright people at ITM Trading.
Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken with a number of people at ITM Trading, very friendly, very responsive. They'll answer all your questions. So I guess what I was getting at before, just one final question, if I may, about how much gold a person should hold. I mean, there's the old saying, you don't own it if you don't hold it. But I mean, is it okay to have... I know you're not a big holder of stocks, okay?
I don't own any stocks right now, and I'm an ex-stockbroker. I don't own any bonds. I don't own any annuities. I don't own any fiat money products, because the central banks consistently tell us that the dollar is too strong and they're taking it down, even though there's less than 3 cents of purchasing power value left.
Yeah.
So if what you own can only be converted into dollars, that's that nominal confusion, right? Watch that stock market go up, up, up. Melt up phase, Venezuela, best performing stock market in the world, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then partly 18, until they did their first reset against gold. And then it came pretty close to zero again. So no, I don't own any fiat money instruments, because I am quite clear on the direction of the dollar, which is the real trend, not the nominal value of the stocks as they push all of this excess liquidity in. My concern isn't so much about the stock market going down, it's your ability to get out when you want to.
Yeah. And that is a concern. Whereas with gold, it's been around, it's been a store of value for 6,000 years. It's tangible, it's fungible, and and it's real. It's a hard asset, and that's why they call it that, for a good reason. You can hold it. Yeah,
well,
I'm a big fan.
Additionally, me too. And additionally, and this is another piece that I don't really often hear people talk about, but they should be, because both gold and silver, physical, is used across the entire global economy, every single area. Therefore, they have the greatest functionality and the broadest base of buyer. So there's always demand. Maybe depending upon the economy, sometimes greater, sometimes less, but 100% of the time there is demand. When you're looking at these fiat money products, it's used in one place. That's it. So when that demand dries up,
there you go. Miss Lynette Zang schooling me again, and I appreciate it more than anything. Thank you so much. People need to, well, first of all, call. Talk to somebody. 866-488-3984. Go to the link in the description below this video, or just type it in your browser, itmtrading.com. And Miss Lynette Zang, I enjoy having you on the show. We'll have to check back with you in a while to watch all your predictions come true, I'm sure. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, David. It's great being here.